Hello, everybody. This is Noah and John, and we are with UrbanDigs. And Johnny, today we are talking Manhattan, and we got a great friend over here, Scott Kogos from Elegron. Thank you so much for joining me. 30 years in the business, 17 years in New York City doing business. I see you around all of our UrbanDigs events for many, many years. You are connected, you know the markets, and I'm just thankful that I have you here for 20 minutes or so to get your observations on what is going on in this New York City real estate market. So, Scott, I'm not going to waste any time. The people want to know. John wants to know. I want to know what is going on in New York City real estate today.
So, good morning, gentlemen, and good morning, everybody. So, I've listened to you, especially talk about a sideways moving market. What I'm seeing right now is actually a market that's recalibrated. Okay. If you look at the last 5 years, our market should have ended in bottom of 2018, would have leveled out over the next 18 months, and we would have started a new cycle, new 10-year cycle, if people are following me. Now, from what I'm looking at is we had that little thing called COVID. The pendulum swung completely one direction. 2021 was heyday. And then if you missed the market spring of 22, then you were chasing it. And then we've leveled off and we've had these interest rates. So number one, I think we're recalibrating because I think between politics in the fall, things that are going on, uncertainty, I think back here in New York City, there's actually high demand for people to make movement. I think there's pent up demand from people making movement because interest rates were holding the under $1 million or up to $1.5 million or $1.7 million category from making a move. Well, number one, now buyers that are people that are renting right now with, when the Fair Act kicked into place, you had rents on the average go up between 11 to 16% in the first 2 weeks, right? So why wouldn't you buy? So I think now coming into spring, you've got bonuses getting ready to be paid out on Wall Street, which is a huge, variable in our market. Number two, more couples are moving into one bedrooms versus before it was a single guy or gal, right? And number three, interest rates have begun to cooperate. So one, I think you're going to see activity in the under $1 million to 2 category that's been a little stagnant versus the luxury market, which has been crazy for the last couple of years, give or take. We had, I think 3 weeks ago, reporting to the Olson report, 49 contracts went into contract. The last 2 weeks has been about 22. The other thing I'm going to tell you real quickly regarding the market is pricing is so key in this market and has been for the last year. Okay. So whether you are a seller, which I think some sellers are coming to the table finally, realizing that pricing it right, unless you have really truly a unicorn, you need to price right or else it's going to sit on the market. So all these kind of RLS and StreetEasy reset days, to me, listen, who cares? It may be a tool to reset it, but the reality is people are smart today and they know if it's been on the market or not. So if you want to sell, I believe in pricing at the market or just under to get the eyes on it and get the traffic in. And, I'd say the last thing I'll say real quickly is if you are a buyer, being prepared will be your best friend. So I always say, if you're a ready, willing, able buyer and you're buttoned up, this is the example, and I'll end on this note, is I have a building, I'm about to put a 1-bedroom on, convertible 2. There's 7 other one of these in the building. So if you're a buyer and you like this building and you've got 7 options to choose from, make them all work for you if you are a ready, willing, able buyer. So I think it's bottom line, I think it's going to be an exciting spring.
Scott, I just want to ask one follow-up really quick before John goes to the next question. I thought it was really interesting that you talked about the StreetEasy and RLS, the reset dates that would change, and StreetEasy is now resetting the clock on time on market quicker than before. Add in the private exclusive situation that's going on. Compass, I think Element joined board there. I don't know if any other major firms did. Is it harder? I mean, this is not making it easier for us to figure out, well, what's going on with the market, because you need data to track, to measure, to get those statistics so that we can figure out transparently what's happening in the market. And it looks like we're kind of going potentially the other way.
Right. So I think one of the things that you're getting at, and it's one of the things that I'm actually doing myself this year, is becoming hyper focused to my market. Okay.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is I've lived in Chelsea for 20 years. I am the mayor of 10th Avenue between 23rd down to 16th Street. You know what I mean? Everybody know, I know everybody's name, their dog's name, their baby's names. I know the baby's names if they're not even born yet, you need to be involved in your community. So to your point about all these other things, you can't get, yes, to me, some of it's noise. I have off market capability. I have my own app for my clients that I white labeled through another company. So I have an interactive tool that's amazing. So in my phone, I have 30,000 agents, and everybody always says to me, why so many agents? I said, who do you think I do business with? You know what I mean? Those are the people I need to be able to find. As far as the change of, these other things is, I think my suggestion is not to get caught up in the noise, because I think our jobs have changed in the sense of there's so much information out there today for people to come to us. So I'm having to be that much better to really hone in to what the wants and needs are of my client, buyer, seller, landlord, or tenant, right? Because they're all coming to me like, hey, I'm a broker. I know how to do this, right? And I'm like, and then a year later, this has happened to me. Someone says to me, my husband and I have been trying to buy an apartment for the last year and we keep losing out. What are we doing wrong? I said, well, when 95% of transactions or more are done with two agents, and why wouldn't you use an agent to help guide you through? And so I think, and the reason I mentioned the whole being hyper focused is you can't be everything to everybody in this city. To me, it doesn't work that way anymore. I think you need to be good at what you do. You need to be an expert, because people are smart. They're looking for the experts.
Great. So Scott, I want to tap into this expertness and I want to talk about buyers, but let me set it up a little bit, because I want to refer back to what you talked about earlier, and that's this market recalibration, right? So I'm not as necessarily concerned with the luxury market, because it really is. I mean, to your point, I mean, Olshan's reporting a number of contract signs. Yes, it's a little bit slower than it was, but this is the slow part of the season. Luxury market, let's put that aside for right now. Let's talk about that non-luxury market, under 2 million, under 1 million. That recalibration there is really hitting this market hard. And I want to talk about your buyers. I want to talk about the people who are moving sideways in that market. I want to talk about the renters in this market who are becoming buyers. I want to know about those conversations and how you're setting those buyers up for success.
John, that's such a great question. And in the now coming into my 18th year as a resale agent, and I was in new development for 7 years prior. And then I've had to create my process, right? So, why do people read other people's books, whether it be Brian Buffini or Tom Ferry, or they model themselves after somebody? Because they don't have a process yet. So now, 18 years on the resale side, my process is really simple. I create your team from the beginning. So when I work with a buyer, I don't take you out until I've done the numbers. I sit down with you. I go through your financial statement, even if it's, chicken scratches. I don't care. Because what's the worst that happens? You take out a buyer, they like something, then they can't afford it, and now they're upset, right? So I take an approach where you're going to need an attorney, because this is a city that you have to have an attorney in. Number two, if you are financing, what was it last year? Close to 65 or 68% were cash deals or something like that. If you're financing, which I think that number will go up this year, because I think with the interest rates, you need to be a prepared buyer, especially when 67 to 68% of Manhattan's resales are co-ops. And co-ops are an amazing place to live for someone that's going to live there, right? Because there's great value there. So then I get you your attorney. Maybe you have your own, but I have a corral and I send it to you. Lending, I put you in touch with a lender. I always recommend, if you have a bank that you do business with, first start with them. You can change banks, lenders all the way up to right before you close and make them all work for you, right? And then the third thing is my team. So I have a small team of where I have an operations manager. So she's doing your board package. So, and then we have a call and I get all the people together. And what happens is then they feel like they're taken care of. And the goal is to get someone to trust the process. And I think that's what has set my buyers up for success. And the second thing is, one of my other new goals for this year is to try to be the last person to speak in any conversation. I was listening to Simon Sinek and he was talking about leaders. And, we look at Nelson Mandela as one of the great renowned leaders. People say, how did you become a great leader? Well, his father was a chief and he used to go with him to, chief meetings. And they would sit in a circle, which is I love doing because it's much more intimate than being square off, because then that's too confrontational. Number two, his father would let everybody else speak, would not have a comment unless he had a question, and he would go last. Why? Because you need to get your clients to speak to you and understand really what their wants and needs are, what their fears are, and why are they doing this transaction? Because if you can understand why someone's doing a transaction, then you can work with that emotion and help them, either calm them or just keep them going, So John, when I take somebody out, I always say to them, put on your sneakers. We're going to have a great time. We laugh. We have a great time. Because listen, we all know doing an application is a lot of work, and it can get tedious and it gets like, oh my God, I have to do all this paperwork. So it's about setting up for success from all the way from the beginning and all the way through. And I just got a referral from a young lady from 2 years ago. Parents were wonderful experience. She bought her first apartment. She just referred to me her brother, and her brother said, my sister had such a great experience with you. And he and I are speaking this afternoon.
Nice. Well, Scott, I just got to follow quickly on the process, because back in the day, when we're out there in the field, we were brokers, but we only worked the buy side. I mean, it was a hard thing. And one of the things that Noah said to me from the very beginning is you kind of got to classify the buyers. There's some people that want to buy immediately. There's some people that are just looking. You got to kind of figure this out. Your approach is very, very, for lack of a better word, it's time intensive. You want to sit down, you want to have these conversations. How do you manage? How do you sort of understand it from the process point of view? How do you divide your time and figure out where to spend it equally, just out of curiosity?
When it comes to working with buyers, I think, so every week when I come to the office, so this time of year, I'm typically working 6 days a week because, believe it or not, do you know how busy January's been? I've never seen a January,
That's good to know.
I have, close to $20 million worth of business in accepted offers, and we're only on January 20th. And I don't usually, I keep on the low side but it's busy. Every rental I have, people are out. So I think if they're out with intention. So to answer your question, John, is every week I sit down, I have a master Excel spreadsheet, and between making my calls, but I touch base with all of my clients that are active or inactive or somewhere in the pipeline, right? Like I have the guy that I'm having a call today. He says, I'm not going to be ready for about 6 months. Well, you and I both know the average transaction takes 6 months or 5 to 6 months if it follows the average, right? 75 days listing to last price. If you're financing, another 75, 90 days if you're lucky. Boom, and then a month, if you're lucky, you find your apartment if you're really out to look. What I'm trying to learn from him today, only in a 15-minute call, so this is your question, is that I've got the Q&A down to 6 questions: who, what, where, when, why, and how. And to understand, so who's going to be the buyer, or involved in the purchase? Why are you doing this transaction? Where you want to be? How are you financing your cash? You make it so simple so it's not overwhelming. And that by every week, someone may say, Scott, I'm not ready yet. So you say, great, John, you know what? Hey, how about, can I reach out to you March 1st? Oh, March 1st is a Sunday. So would March 2nd be great? Sure. Because maybe they just got to get their year going and see what life looks like for them, right? So you begin to pivot, but you're still spinning the plates.
Yeah, right. That was one time referred to us as ham bam, have a meeting, book a meeting. So every meeting you end, and you book another one. So it's just like constantly in motion.
Got to keep it going.
I always believe you have to have, for me, I use a 2-2-2-2 kind of philosophy. 2 in contract, 2 new relationships, 2 buyers, or 2 other transactions that I'm working on, because to get the role,
Right. Keep that pipeline going.
Right.
Did you mention earlier that you have 30,000 agents on your little Rolodex there?
I do.
And I'm scared. How many clients you got in your Rolodex there?
Well, clients.
You don't have to give me an exact number.
No,
ballpark's more than 5.
Well, so you and I both know contacts and clients. So I'm a networker. So I'm a connector. So I follow the 80-20 rule. So if I said to you, I have, X amount of contacts, people forget about the 80-20 rule is, 80% of your business is going to come from 20% of your, either clients or interactions. So I don't know if it's the right question for me to answer, Noah, because they're all categorized, my clients.
Right.
And so I come from the school of thumb of I go narrow and deep, and like a flower, my clients do this to me. So what I mean by that is I have a family I've worked for 10 years, and I did 4 transactions with them. Right. I have another family that I've worked with for 10 years. I'm the only person that they'll work with. And 1, 2, 3, and possibly the next one we've started to talk about. So I think about, do I want to be, I remember when I got into the business, I was trying to figure out, we're all taking everything. Back 20 years ago, it's like taking whatever, a rental for $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever it is just to pay the bills. Now, I would rather really offer that, experience that people are looking for. Because to me, customer service is baseline is not even acceptable anymore. What's the experience? Because it's tied to an emotion that I need them to feel. Right. So
I love that. I mean, I could just, I mean, you're a networker, you're a connector. I can imagine you have tens of thousands more in contacts on that list. And I'm just wondering, like, what's the secret? Like, how do you create these fans that they keep coming back to you over and over again? I mean, you're doing something right. What's the sauce? What's the secret sauce, Scott? Leak it.
Well, you know what? I think each one of us is our own secret sauce, but you have to be able to find it, and you have to learn to be authentic with yourself, and you need to own it. Mine is, I've lived in my neighborhood for 20 years. I've lived in my apartment, which I'm currently renovating, for 18, and I've owned it for 17. I'm involved in the community. I eat out. I dine. When I go to tip, I tip 30% at the restaurants because they all know me by name. I am seen. And what happens is I connect people. So like yesterday, I was sitting at a hotel. I find my space. I always carry Simon Sinek's book with me. I have multiple copies because it's one of my favorite books. And if someone says to me they've never heard of Simon Sinek, or they've never read It Starts With Why, and this is not a plug for Simon, I reached into my bag, and yesterday, this young lady who is in a startup, she was interviewing potentially new in the medical field, which is going to be huge because it's all over the place. And we were just sitting next to each other and made small contact. Long story short, we're now connected. Number 2, I'm going to connect her to 2 of my clients who are in the medical field. Okay. And 3, I left her with an impression, which was, oh, you haven't heard of this book? Here, have a copy for me. She was like, what? Wow. Yeah. And the thing is, you do the unexpected, and it's not from a place of wanting anything from anybody. It's being just my authentic self. And, I think when you find your place, that's why I was saying earlier, I think this year for me, and I think also I never like to give advice anymore. I'm of that age where I only offer my opinion if someone asks, because I know nothing, I only know what I know. Is I live in Chelsea, one of the hottest, if not the hottest neighborhood in the city. I should own this place, And what I do is, we track, I already know, people always, sometimes in the real estate business always say to me, how do you know what your year is going to look like? Well, I have an extensive tracking system that I've designed that my operations manager and I are the only two ones that run it. And literally all those people that I told you I talked to on Mondays, and I follow back up with them, everybody has a slot. And basically, I already have a sense of what the year will look like. And I'll tell you right now, that's the first 6 months. And, because I believe I'm very blessed that because the way I take care of people, with leaving them with an experience, I like to have surprises, but more importantly, I like to deliver. I have clients that I'm going to be working with again that I want to buy in Brooklyn. And whenever I go to Brooklyn, my friends all laugh. Kogos is in Brooklyn. I'm like, I used to do a lot of business in Brooklyn, but now I have an agent that's more in Brooklyn and I support him. So I went out to this new development about a year and a half ago, and my clients walked in. It was their second time going there. My agent that was running the lead and the contact was there. And then I showed up. Now you have to understand, if you've not seen any of my videos, I'm typically in a bowler hat, a bow tie, and a walking cane. And, I walk in and then a long black coat and my work bag. And I'm the last person to walk in, and the agent running the showing said, "Who are you?" And I didn't want to say it this way. I said, well, I'm kind of the important one. I said, if I'm showing up from Manhattan, that means my clients want to buy. And, kind of conversation. And it was just kind of pitchiness and fun. But, I like to fly under the radar. I like to make it about my clients. And, when I go to Brooklyn, or if I go somewhere I need to go to, I literally had someone say to me, also 2 brokers, I was looking at a townhouse in downtown Brooklyn that was like a 1 floor. And it was amazing. It was old school, like Gilded Age, like lots of rooms and lots of wood and lots of like really detail. And again, I walked in and my agent in Brooklyn was with this client, and finally the broker's like, "Who are you?" I'm like, I'm the team lead. He says, "I've never heard of a team lead coming out to go with his agent." I said, "How do I know what my agents are doing if I don't go out with my agents? And also if they're my clients, if they know who I am or I'm working with them, I want them to feel that they're being taken care of."
Love it.
That's great. Scott, we're running on the short of time here.
Yep.
So we'd like to end with a couple questions geared toward agents and advice to agents. So I'll ask you 2. Number 1, what's the best piece of advice you have to agents who are looking to up their production? And the second one is, what's the one thing you wish you would have known when you started in this business?
I'll start with the second one, John, real quick. If someone just told me, just talk to people, network, meet as many people as you can, and really let the New York sort of mojo vibe happen, because this city, I 22 years of living here, and I've tried leaving a couple of times and it just keeps sucking me back in, but I could not be. I love this city. It is the energy and getting up, and so with that, it's like, why do you get up in the morning? I get up in the morning because I want to make, my why is I want to make a difference in the lives of the people that I come in contact with in any given point in time, right? Because I control nothing other than how I show up. So number 1, be a connector. Don't be afraid to get involved, okay? And, whether it be community, whether it be your religious organization, whether it be, I belong to the Democratic Society Club in Chelsea because it's where I live. Looking into Community Board 4. I'm on the, I go to Central Park Conservatory. I'm on that. I'm a member at the Frick Museum. Like, this is my life. And these are the places you got to go to, because also right now I'm making application to the National Arts Club, because why? 1 is I have a few friends that are there. Number 2, I love it. Number 3, you get a key to the park. How cool would that be, is to take a client to Gramercy Park? Number 4, the Gramercy Park Hotel is reopening in the fall. So, you have to think everything is an opportunity. So the second piece I would say to you is, people go like, oh, poo-poo, this person, you were asking this before, how do you pivot and kind of deal with all the different people you're working with and decide how much time, where to go and things like that? You know what? Everybody and everything is an opportunity, whether it be today or tomorrow. You never know who anybody is. You don't be dismissive. They may not be ready today. Listen, I don't care if I just closed a deal for $685,000 last fall. You know what? 3 brokers told her not to sell it. She called me to rent it. She did everything I told her to do it. I got her cash, 18 showings in 3 days, 4 offers, and it closed in less than 2 months. Okay. So I think the third thing would be passion. If, again, I don't like to ever tell, and I know our time is running out, but one of the things that I notice is going to a showing, if you don't think as an agent when you're showing an apartment that you make a difference in selling that apartment, then you should get out of the business. And I'm just saying it harsh, right? Because here's why. You have to read the room. You have to know who you're speaking to. There's the high director, there's the communicator. You have to understand the disc profile, right? Because you have to be pivot. Certain people just need snippets. Some people want the story. Most people want a good story. But what I'd say is, if you're not excited to sell something that you've taken on, doesn't matter if it's $400,000 or whatever, why should anybody else be?
Yeah.
Right?
It'll ultimately be a grind. It'll ultimately get to you. It'll be just a regular job. You gotta make something happen there. You gotta create urgency.
You have to create urgency. And I think the last thing I'll say to the question, John, and this one is a big one for me, is again, this is my 3rd time saying it, and I speak in 3s for a reason. Be hyper focused. Go to your coffee shop. Where's that restaurant? Where's that museum if it's near you? The buildings you go to, get to know old school. Bring coffee to the doorman, that you just met. Just don't go show and be done and say thanks, see you later. These are the connections are, endless. I have 2 hotels that I see a lot, and I've had a few good referrals from them, because what happens when people are staying in a hotel in a neighborhood? Guess what? They may consider to buy, because, who doesn't want to be in New York City? So those are a couple little tidbits that have worked for me. But you know what? You're always learning. I love when I learn something from somebody else, because maybe I didn't think about it. And, everybody has their own way of doing things. And I think you just need to respect each other, show up, and love. And as I say in my newsletter, love where you live. And if you don't, then I want you to find that place that you can call home, because, we all work so hard every day, and we're in the grind and everything we get to do, but you want to come home to a place that you really is your home.
Yeah, it gets a lot easier when you know thousands of people over 17 years that you built up, and those people are out there selling and referring and thinking of you whenever somebody interacts with them, looking, hey, I may buy or sell or rent something. Hey, you know what? I know a guy. Let me show you to Scott. He'll help you out.
I'm just thinking of Scott. I just picture Scott walking down 10th Avenue with like one of those old style attaché cases, except it's a hard drive
with the cane,
handcuffed with the
bow tie and the cane and all that. I totally get it.
Do you remember the Avengers, the original version in the UK?
Yes, of course. Yeah. There you go.
That's the look.
Awesome. All right, well, this has been great. This has been great. Scott Kogos over at Elegant. Thank you so much. If you don't know Scott, send an email to him. Say hello. You never know when you'll do a deal with him. I thought today was great. A lot of little actionable takeaways, nuggets of wisdom. Good stuff. That is John Walkup. I am Noah Rosenblatt. This has been Talking Manhattan. We will catch you guys next time. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Noah.
Very welcome. Thanks, Scott.
Take care. Have a great day.
Okay, so we're going to